And then when that happens, I have to open up my screen. Now you don't want you just want to have a slideshow only, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do a slideshow, and then we're going to do a like a live demo.
Okay, just give me a second here.
Sure.
We're just setting up YouTube right now. In the meantime, I will set up my screen share. No, I won't need that until you get everything together, and we will be ready to go.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, no problem. So it's still saying setting up your webinar for YouTube. It looks like we are ready to go. Whoops. What I'll do is, hello, everybody. This is Brian here from quantlabs.net. We are doing a software demo with Alera. I'm going to put in the chat box right now the stream, which is right there. That's live right now in the chat. So if you guys want to capture that and pass that on to your folks.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. And then what I'll do is I will make you, Dave, presenter.
Great. Thank you.
So you'll be a panelist. And it looks like you're no, hang on. Yeah. Do you see I have you as a panelist. Do you see yourself as a panelist?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So you should be able to share the screen from that point on.
Great. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Awesome.
Very good.
So take it away, Dave from Alera.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you inviting Dan and I, and Alex will be listening in the background, which is great. So my name is Dave DiMarcantonio, and I am an enthusiastic user of this Alera Portfolio Manager. So I'm here today to just share some ideas with you, Brian, and your community on how to easily automate any trade signals for live trading using the Alera Portfolio Manager. So just can we do a quick sound check and a video check? Can everybody see and hear me okay?
Yeah, I just so you know, I have the stream running right now. Just understand between you live right now, there's going to be anywhere from a 20-second to about a minute a delay, because that's how YouTube works. But I also have a live chat right now. So whenever you're ready to take questions, if people have questions or comments, I'm monitoring the chat right now as you proceed.
Great. So feel free to interject anytime, Brian, if there's any questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about how to easily automate any trade signals for live trading using a new tool called the Alera Portfolio Manager. And thanks again, Brian, for inviting myself and Dan to speak with your community tonight.
No sweat.
So I guess we should probably first start out with who this presentation is for. I know everybody's time is valuable. People don't like to waste time nowadays, although YouTube can, suck me in for days at a time. So why don't we start off there and talk about who this presentation is for. So first and foremost, it's really for all these different types of traders. And I mean, a lot of retail traders and investors are quant and algo traders. They're systematic traders. They're automated traders. I consider myself a systematic trader that does, I trade my systems automatically now. I don't intervene in my systems anymore. And I'm typically a swing trader in the approaches that I use. So this presentation is for, all of these categories of traders: retail traders and investors, day traders, swing traders, position traders, systematic automated traders, quant and algo traders, which I think serves your community well, Brian.
Yep.
And anyone essentially that wants to be more systematic and improve their overall trading and investing. And essentially they do that by way of automating or semi-automating their order entry workflow and through automatic portfolio management. So just a quick disclaimer, we're going to talk about some ideas today. And, just to let everybody know, I'm not going to read the entire disclaimer, but please use all this information presented at your own risk. I believe we're all adults here. If anybody is able to open up a trading account below the age of 18, let me know how you did that. Okay, so the first question then is, why would you want to semi or fully automate? Now, I don't think it'll be very difficult to convince your community why this is important, Brian, but I think it's a good idea to talk about this anyways. So let's get started. order entry automation, whether it is semi-automation or full automation. And I differentiate those two because some people want to have a little bit of control over their order entry and they don't want to fully automate. So it's advantageous for a number of reasons, and I'll just cover a few of them. So essentially, the speed, efficiency, and the accuracy versus, reducing the order entry mistakes that are made, especially with day trading. I know I used to do a lot of day trading, and I would get excited about a trade and I would make mistakes, not properly calculating risk reward, etc. So the fast and automated calculations are performed for proper position sizing and risk management, and there's zero guesswork with that. And that takes a huge stress off of that specific type of trading. So there is essentially no, or at least less hesitation when you're trading, when you automate or semi-automate your trading. And that essentially leads to consistency. And consistency may ultimately lead to success for struggling traders, whether you're a quant or an algo trader, and that actually have a quantified edge. So let's just be clear there. You can be consistent with a consistently bad system and you don't have an edge and you're going to consistently lose money. So the goal here is to be consistent with a system that actually has a quantified edge. This is a big one for me now that I have a young daughter, and I essentially work from my home office most days, looking at the markets and some other investments that I do. And my availability at crucial decision times is quite limited. So for example, I pick up my daughter after school close to the market close when I like to do my trading and when my system stipulates that I should be doing my trading. So most of the time when my system is making decisions for me, I'm at the school picking up my daughter, walking my dog, playing at the park for half an hour or an hour if it's nice out. So your availability at crucial decision times is really a great reason to do this. And I guess we'll wrap that sort of up with traders and investors maintain 100% control over whether and which signals they want to execute. With Alera, you can do an order preview and you can run, in semi or full automation capabilities. Okay, so let's move on then to something that I like to do and I like to talk about. It's portfolio management and diversification of trading systems. So running multiple strategies or methods that are complementary allows diversification of trading systems. So the goal is, or at least my goal is, and I hope it's, there's a lot of users or potential end users out there that may have the same goal as I do as an end user of the software, is to create overall smoother portfolio equity curves. So it would otherwise be, quite difficult to physically manage multiple trading instruments, no matter what you're trading, whether that be stocks or Forex or other markets. I know you guys like to do a lot of cryptocurrencies. And multiple strategies. So it would definitely be hard to physically manage trading multiple instruments, multiple strategies as an individual trader, just due to the sheer number of trades and due to having to mentally switch gears between different strategy methods. So when we talk about diversification of trading systems, we're really trying to find, complementary systems that will work in different market regimes and in different market conditions. Like, for example, I like to do a lot of reversion trading, but I'm also working on a momentum rotation strategy. And, some people might like to round that out with a trend following system. So that kind of smooths out their equity curve. All systems take drawdowns. I think everybody probably knows that if they've been in this field for longer than a day or two. And, all systems take drawdowns. And from time to time, being able to diversify and run multiple strategies just smooths out your emotions and smooths out your equity curve. So full portfolio management is accomplished with zero guesswork. So let's just quickly talk about where the Alera Portfolio Manager excels. So firstly, it's really in its ease of use. And when we get into the demo, you'll see how easy it is to actually use it. It also excels in managing multiple different strategies per account and from a diverse source of locations. So for example, I can be running a local strategy where I've developed a strategy in AMI Broker and I'm generating signals for that every day. and my software of choice is AMI Broker, but I could be using R, I could be using Python. You can be using any tool that will generate signals for you. It can also be web-based. So for example, if there is a screener that you like online, you can kind of scrape that data and be able to use that screener to enter and exit your trades, or plugins can be written for the software to allow that, and essentially from any other signal provider that makes the service available. So, and it can all be done at the same time and in one central place. So we spoke a little bit earlier in the previous slide about diversification, but I just wanted to reemphasize that diversification of trading signals and methods allow for smoother overall equity curves. You may only have one good strategy that works, but you can also tap into other effective published strategies using the Alera Portfolio Manager. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the ability to integrate with any signal generation source, as I mentioned, I use AMI Broker. My good friend Dan, who's also on the call, uses R. Brian, I know you use a lot of Python.
Yep.
So that should be a breeze to do, and even web sources, as mentioned. So one of the things that I really like about the software, and I really like it as a user, is being able to manage interference between the different strategies in the same account, so that the execution mistakes aren't made on the same trading instrument from different strats. So what I mean by that is if you have one strategy that is, let's say, trading an instrument, and you have another strategy that's trading the same instrument, it will manage which one has control over it, so that you're not going from long to short when you meant to stay long a position. So that's one of the things that I really like about the software personally. It's very difficult to do if you're trying to hack into a broker API or something like that. So another area where it really excels is in trade execution and portfolio management. And I'll show you just a little bit of that going forward as well. Are there any questions at this time, Brian? Or
no, there's not. I haven't seen any comments yet at all.
So I'm either really enthralling people or I'm putting them to sleep. I'm not sure which.
Well, we were up to 5-6 people, and then we're back down to, it looks like 3.
Okay.
So as the stream builds or whatnot on YouTube, hopefully there'll be more people coming aboard.
Sounds good. And they'll be able to catch it afterwards as well.
Oh yeah. That's the beauty of YouTube.
That sounds great. So why don't we move on then to an area that I think that some of your members out there would probably find value in. So I'll start it off this way. By the way, do you have trade signals that you want to share? So if your passion is to develop quantified trading strategies and systems, you can easily make your signals available to other people that are using Alera software, the Alera Portfolio Manager. So the Alera Portfolio Manager, it provides a mechanism. It provides a mechanism that enables integration with your, insert your time frame here, intraday, daily, weekly, monthly trade suggestions and signals. So there is a way to share that. And those signals that you may want to share may be provided to others for free, or they can be provided for sale behind a paid web service. So that is something that we're trying to encourage our community and other communities to do, to help out other people that maybe are struggling to be, systematic and consistent with their trading systems, because not everybody is really built to put in the hours and the sweat and the tears that's really required to, first of all, come up with a good trading idea, and then to be able to properly vet that trading ideas. And there's some people that just excel at it. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the Alera Portfolio Manager. We'll do a quick software overview. So you can use a more stable cloud server to host your software implementation, or you can run it locally on your desktop or laptop. Most people will probably want to just host it on their desktop or their laptop for the time being while they're paper trading it. And at the end, if you stick around to the end, we'll let you know how you can get a free paper trading implementation of it to be able to test and see how it works for your needs. So this is basically what starts the process. Our broker of choice is Interactive Brokers, and we will be adding more brokers going forward. But Interactive Brokers seems to cover a lot of the initial needs of the market. So the first thing we do is we open the IB Gateway and we log in. And then essentially we just leave the IB Gateway open at all times. And then we open the Alera Portfolio Manager software, and I'll show what this looks like live in just a little bit. And then what we do is here's the interface for the software, and we connect to the IB Gateway by clicking the account button. And then we hit start to connect to the IB Gateway, and it will automatically make the connection. You've got your account settings in here. And then essentially you can set up your outgoing mail so that you get mail notifications when important events trigger. You can be notified of your portfolio every day by email as well. And then once the IB Gateway is connected, you can go straight to your strategies just by simply clicking the strategies button. And this is what the strategy main program screen looks like. So for example, you can see here, you can hit the press the plus button, and you can create a new strategy, essentially as many strategies as you want. In this case, I've got a few strategies set up in my demo account as I'm just integrating my live systems. And what you're seeing here is, you've got multiple strategies set up, and you can set up additional strategies. And so you can see all of those, and this is all on an account level basis. So for example, when I mentioned earlier about running interference between different strategies, each one of these strategies can have a different universe of, in my case, I like to trade stocks. So it can have a different universe of stocks. I could be trading the S&P 1500 on every single one of these strategies so that, whichever strategy gets a signal first will take that, or I can be running different universes. It's really, up to your own imagination and creativity. And then you can easily determine when you're connected to your broker. The bottom turns blue, and it gives you some brokerage level information on the account. So just quickly moving on here. So then what you do is you just simply leave both the IB Gateway and the Alera Portfolio Manager software running, and you let it do its thing. Whether that's every second, every minute, every hour, day, or whenever you set it to run. So for example, if you're running a day trading strategy, you could set Alera to check for signals every second, and it'll just hyper check for signals, and it'll process when it receives those signals. You can, in my case, I run an end of day swing trading system. So I just, I let it run at, 3 or 3:30, and I let it just try and, bid on opportunities that are out there. So it's really up to you. So let's just take a look at a simple trading system. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm a big proponent of technical analysis. I like technical analysis. I belong to the CSTA. In fact, I think that's where I met you, Brian.
That's right. Yeah.
You did a presentation at the CSTA a few years ago, which was really good. Thanks. And you opened up a lot of people's eyes into the quantitative field. So so I'm just going to look at a simple MACD crossover rules, but your trading rules can essentially be anything as defined by your algorithm or your quant or your system rules. So in this case, just very simple rules. Here's what it would look like visually on the chart. You get a MACD crossover, you want to buy. You get a MACD crossover negative, you want to sell. So you're buying. Obviously, I cherry picked this winning trade just for demonstration purposes, but you want to buy when it crosses over positively and sell when it crosses over negatively. So let's get into a real-time software demo just so that it makes a little bit more sense. And that is my last slide. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me just move this off the screen. And then just let me quickly, I'm going to open up the software on my other screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to open the IB Gateway. So, and we're just using a simulated account here. I've got my account information. If anybody wants to hack into this account and drop some real money in there, I'm cool with that. Let me just put my password. Okay. So you just essentially log in, and it's going to warn me that it is a paper trading account we're doing. So this is just going to be running on the computer. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open up the Alera Portfolio Manager, and it's going to give me a choice here. I want to open up my AMI Broker demo stuff. So I'm just going to tell it to open. And now what it's going to do, it's going to open up my main strategy page. And what I can do then is I just want to connect to my account now that my IB Gateway is open. And just for clarification, this IB Gateway, this is on a per account basis. But if you wanted to run multiple accounts and multiple instances of Alera, then what you could do is on, let's say, a server or whatever computer you're using, you could run multiple IB Gateway instances and multiple Alera instances to run multiple portfolios and multiple accounts. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this so that I may make a connection. And you can see now I'm connected here, and I'm rich in my paper trading account. I've got over just $1 million in there. So I'm just going to go to my strategies. Now I've got a couple of strategies here. I'm not going to really get into, for example, this one here will allow you to download a FinViz screener and just rotate in and out of the top stocks in that screener. But for the sake of demonstration purposes, I think more people in your community, Brian, are interested in being able to generate and process their own signals. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably have a couple of questions at the end of this on how that's done, but don't let me stop you right now.
Very good. Thank you, Brian.
No problem.
So what I'm going to do here is I've got my strategy set up. So what I'm telling my strategy, I'll just cover a couple of key things here. I've just given it a name, AMI Broker MACD. There's some settings here which I don't think I need to cover, but this basically will process local signals. And I've told it that, I'm going to tell it that I want to have 20 positions in my portfolio. And in terms of my overall strategy allocation, I think I mentioned I have about 1.1 million in my paper trading account. I'm going to allocate 10% to this strategy. So this is all about being diversified, right? I want to be able to run multiple strategies to smooth out my equity curve. But if I really just love this strategy, I could run 100% of my portfolio, and it's gonna run my entire portfolio. But in this case, I'm just going to run 10%. Anytime I make a change, I just need to save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run 5% per position. And that will, give me a position size of around $5,500, just to round it down per stock that I'm going to trade. Now, what I've done is I've set this up, and I've set up my AMI Broker to process the signals. So AMI Broker is my development platform of choice. The reason why I personally like it, I am planning on spending more time learning about Python. I know it's a great platform. It's got a lot of good community support. The reason why I like AMI Broker is because I'm a technical analyst. It has a lot of technical indicators built in. It's very strong on in portfolio back testing and trading with stocks, which I like to do. And it has a really good data source. I use the Norgate, the NDU, the new updater, the Norgate data. And what it does is it provides access to historical constituents so that it will allow me to remove survivorship bias as much as possible. So it will keep, like if I trade, I like to trade the S&P 1500. If let's say on January the 1st, 2000, stocks were part of that index, it will actually know that those stocks were part of that index, and it won't pick a stock that, let's say, has made it to today and is in the S&P 1500 today and has survived and trade that stock as if it was trading it in the year 2000. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of use this setup that I use, because I find it's just more realistic in terms of results. And I also get the thing I like about it is AMI Broker is a good R&D platform, so I can actually use AMI Broker from R&D, back testing, verification, all the way through to production, which we're looking at today. So So in this case, what this is doing, I'm running an end of day swing trading approach, let's say, that's based on the MACD signals. And what this is doing is it has two schedulers. So here I've got my schedule set up to process my signals, and I've got this set up to run at 8 a.m. But for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just going to force it. But if I were just to leave it, it will go out there and it will download the data that I need, my end of day data with all the adjustments. You know, my data is adjusted for splits, dividends, etc. It will download the data. It will process all my signals. And then what it will do is it will output my signals into a text file. And then my strategy is actually set to run at 3:30 p.m. So I like to trade at the end of the day. And it will go out and it'll grab that file and it'll process all of my signals, whether they're entry or exit signals, whether they're new entries. They can be duplicate orders, and Alera will handle that so that it doesn't duplicate your orders unless you want it to. It will get out of positions based on targets and stops that I've written into my script. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like, and it's going to happen pretty quick. So I'm going to try and drag the screens over so you can see what's happening. So I'm assuming now that I want to process my signals. It's 8 a.m. in the morning, so I'm just going to force that. So what it's doing on my other screen here is, it's just opened AMI Broker, and it's actually just dealing with my data feed right now. You can see there's my data feed, and it's just it's updating my entire database, which is probably over 6,000 symbols. So it's processing my entire database. Now, if you're running a live feed, then that would happen, pretty much automatically, and your live feed would be locked in or tied into your trading platform or your signal provider, however you're set up to do that. So let's just give this a second just to update the end of day data. As I mentioned, I'm using Norgate Data Updater. Take this opportunity to have a quick drink of water. Okay, so now what it's done is it's updated that. It's updating my database. And now what it's doing is processing all my buy signals in my universe of 1,500 stocks. And this one's a little bit slower than my other data provider was. Probably because I'm using the historical constituents database, which is going to have over double the amount. Okay, so there's pretty much all my buy signals generated. There's all my sell signals, and it'll close AMI Broker for me automatically because that's what I set it up to do. And then what it does is it creates a file on my computer that looks something like this. So every strategy is given its own individual ID. In this case, mine is 1001. And what it did is it just created a text file here. And all we do is we get our signal generator just to output a simple text file with the extension SIG so that it knows to process those signals. It doesn't matter what the name of the file is, as long as it has SIG attached to it, simple text file, it will process that. So this is what it looks like. Here's all the signals we just generated. So I've got all these buy signals. Now, I've done it very simply just to say buy the stock. It's assuming it's buying at market, but you could have a lot more detail in there to say, buy the symbol at a specific limit price, good till cancel, etc. You can specify almost anything for your buy and sell signals. So in this case, I've got all of these buys and I've got all of these sells. Now, if I have, I think this is an important note to make. Doing back testing and generating live buy and sell signals are a little bit different. It's kind of a stateless process when you're generating signals every day. So the Alera software will maintain your portfolio and it'll know what's in your portfolio, but your signal generator, whether that be AMI Broker or Python or whatever you're using, will probably not know that you bought, for example, AAON 2 months ago, if let's say that's what your system is doing. So what I do is I generate signals in my universe for every sell signal that meets the criteria so that it knows to get out no matter when. Like, for example, if you're going to sell signals or make them available to other people, somebody might be long AAON from a month ago. Somebody may not be long. So if they're not long that signal, Alera will just ignore it. And if they are, it will handle it appropriately. So it's set up to manage all those different contingencies. So now if we just jump over to the Alera software, and let's say we decide that we're going to run this strategy at 3:30 every day. And let's say we decide we want to preview our orders before we trade. So what it's going to do is it's going to determine which things we're going to trade. And you'll notice that, like, I've cleared out my portfolio, and I have 16 buy signals. I had a lot of sell signals, but I don't have anything in my portfolio that requires a sell, so it's not going to include it in the preview. And that's kind of how it handles it in the background, and in a smart way, so it knows what to trade and what not to trade. Now, it's also going to determine based on my portfolio positioning, which is right here, custom lot size. So I want to get around $5,500 per position, and it's going to automatically figure out how many shares I want to trade based on that. Now, if I decide that I don't want to trade, let's say I'm looking at charts or whatever, and I decide, you know what, I hate trading PFE. It always stops out on me. I can exclude that. I can exclude, whichever ones I want if I don't want to trade them, or I can just tell it, to run automatically. In this case, I'm just going to let it run. So now, assuming we've got all our signals, it's processed the signals in the morning because it's an end of day system. Now, let's assume it's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and I want to get my orders in the market. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell it to run, and it's going to process all those signals. So that's what it's doing right now. If you like to look at logs, I'm not a big log guy, but if you like to look at logs and understand what's going on, you can see what it's doing here. It's gone through and it's processed all the signals. In my case, what I've done here, it's showing you the portfolio. If let's say the market was open and we sent those to market and they were actually accepted, it would show you what's in your portfolio, and it will maintain your portfolio for you, so you can see, what's going on, what's in your portfolio. And I'm sure Danny will probably talk about this a little bit later, but you can actually move, if you don't like this in this portfolio, you want this strategy to handle it, you can move that out of this strategy and into this strategy to handle. But in this case, what I've done is I've actually told it to run market on close orders. So it would actually trade on the close of tomorrow. I can rerun those orders to tell them to run market orders. And what I can do is I can rerun my strategy again. And what it'll do is it'll make adjustments on all the orders. So let's see here. This should update pretty quickly now, just because we've already updated our data for the day, hopefully. Okay, that's finished. So now it's just going to rerun all my signals again. And it will send all these signals at market. Now you can override any of the presets in the software using limit orders or using whatever order types make sense for your strategy. Okay. Now let's say, so what it did is it just regenerated that file because the last file was actually moved into the process signals folder. So you maintain a history of everything that was processed, and you can see, what files were processed. So let's assume that I've had a technical hiccup and I've gone ahead and run this strategy 5 times. Well, the software is smart enough to know that you don't want to duplicate the orders. So for example, if I go ahead and rerun this strategy, it probably would make sense for me to, let me just see if I can do this. I don't think in this case I can have, let me see if I can actually have the paper trading account open with, with TWS at the same time. I may have to set up a separate account to do that, but Just bear with me 1 second and let me see if I can do that. Just so that you can see the orders get modified. Okay, well, it's saying another session exists. So I'll just kick out, oops. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just kick out the IB gateway and I'll use interactive broker. So you can use both interfaces. IB gateway is obviously better for continuity because TWS resets every night. But if you're just day trading, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so let me just move TWS into the foreground here, just so that we can see what's happening. So you can see all of these orders let me just see here. Classic TWS. So here's all the orders that were sent. No, those aren't the orders. My bad. Well, let's send the orders again and we can see the modified. So I'm going to go ahead and run the strategy. Let me just reconnect to the broker. So it should recognize TWS running now, and it does. And let me go ahead and run the strategy. And there you can see all the orders coming through. Now, if I had other orders here that were market on close, it will just come through here and it will just modify all those orders. I'm not quite sure why it didn't show the orders that were sent previous, but I mean, here they are. So for example, if let's say I want to say these are market on close now, I probably have to regenerate my signals again. We'll just do that quickly. This process takes a little bit longer just because I have my data integrated, but it's not necessarily to have your data integrated. So now it's just processing the buy signals again. Good time to take a quick drink.
If I can, this is Dan. If I can just mention that actually what happened was that the paper account for interactive brokers does not accept market on close orders off hours.
Oh, I see.
Warren went in there, and the paper trading account acts differently than the real account. On the real account, you would see the orders. On the paper trading, they have a glitch, and they have not fixed that.
Okay.
That's why you didn't see the orders there.
Thank you, Dan. See, this is why I work with smart people like Dan, because I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. So let me just run this just to see what happens. Okay, so it's just gonna cancel and it's gonna reprocess all those orders. Okay, so that's essentially in a nutshell what it's going to do, and what Danny said there is what happened. It's going to cancel the market on close orders. So in a nutshell, that's essentially how the software works and how the software is structured to be able to run multiple strategies, multiple accounts. It will allow you to be able to, let's say, pull your signals from Brian's site, for example. If Brian wanted to offer some of his signals and he has it behind his paid gateway there, you could set up a strategy for that. And, it can be integrated into a site so that at a certain time of the day, here's my signals. You've got your system set up. It will grab that information. It'll process those signals for you. And of course, you'll have the option of being able to say, well, let me preview the order and let me see if I like all of Brian's signals or all of Dave's signals or whatnot. So you can run multiple strategies from multiple locations. So I think at this point in time, I think it would be good just to take a little break and ask if there's any questions.
Right now, we got 4 people. I've already put in the message to type in questions or comments. Got a whole list of questions for you. I just don't want to be sitting here hogging up all the time and stuff. So Some of them, I'm not sure how you guys handle these software scenario or these trading scenarios. The big one that I came up with when you are loading in the external program for your strategy, how does it work? Is it like, does it have to be coded up in such a way that it has to comply internally with your software in terms of like your own equivalent of an API? Or how would like if somebody like myself or anyone else wanted to put together and code up a Python strategy that listens to, let's say, whatever signal generation that data source may come from, and then be able to have that Python script or an R script or whatever script be able to communicate with your software. And that's what I'm just trying to understand how that's kind of done.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Danny, do you want to jump on the call and answer some tech questions?
Sure. Just let me know if you can hear me well.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so as they mentioned, Alera receives signals from multiple sources. One of the sources is local files. So if your Python signal generator can save files on the same file system, that's all you need. You don't have to connect to Alera and send signals to Alera. You just save the file every time you generate the signals.
So what I'm hearing then is that Alera will listen to, I guess, what may be a certain file format, and as those new files get updated, yes, Alera will process off that. Is that right?
That's right. It's going to listen to a specific folder. Each strategy is going to have its own folder. And I think, Dave, if you can just go back to take a look at the software.
Okay, let me just unmute myself. So yeah, so what I've done is, I've just pulled up the folder where these are all process signals, yep, but I've pulled up the folder where it's going to save this specific signal here. It's going to tell you here, it's going to save it in this folder, AMI Broker Demo 1001. So what it does is it drops that signal folder, that signal file right into this folder. And because it's already been processed, it's simply a text file with a .sig extension.
Yep.
And once it's been processed, it's going to move it into this folder, but essentially this is what it looks like.
Yep.
So here's all your, your buy instructions, sell instructions.
So that's what I have to provide is I'm going to have to structure a file or a text file or a flat file to a certain format that will have to comply with the Alera software to pick that up and then be able to process those files or those signals from those text files. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay, that's pretty smart then. Okay, this is where the complexities come in.
Okay. Can I just add something to that?
Sure, yeah, of course.
The reason why it was developed this way is because not everybody's a tech guy. So to make it easy for people to be able to integrate from any kind of software, just being able, most signal generation software can output, flat files.
Yep, totally agree. I just got a question from a person by the name of SI or Sai. He asks, can I load many orders into Alera, and then can Alera monitor the market and send market orders only once a particular condition is met? I think we've already kind of covered that, but if you want to repeat, he may be just joining us. Do you want me to repeat the question? It's in the chat in the YouTube stream.
Okay.
So I can repeat the question for anyone else out there. Can I?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I'll go real slow. Can I load many orders into Alera, and then can Alera monitor the market and send market orders only once a particular condition is met?
So is he referring to order, cancel order type orders?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say, but he can follow up on that. But that brings me into the more complicated processing of how you guys handle scenarios of, I got really specific questions, but I'll just put the questions out here.
Okay. I'm going to hand the mic over to
sure.
To the guy who knows more about this than I do.
Okay, no problem.
So Danny, go for it.
Yeah, so the way Alera is structured actually is that all the decisions of generating signals and treating conditions, calculating conditions when to generate signals is handled by the strategy itself. So if you decide to write a Python script that makes a decision when to buy or sell or open a position or close one, and that's the role of that software. Alera takes all the signals generated by those signal providers, how we call them, and manages the portfolio that way. It does not look or search for conditions in the market.
Yep, I understand. Yeah, that's what I was going to follow up with. Was so let's say you have the position sizing for the strategy that you open up with, because obviously when it comes to custom trading software, some people may want to say, let's say they have a strategy and it's watching a particular instrument, whatever it might be, there's a sudden run up of profit. Is there a way to, let's say, to dynamically change the position sizing? So let's say if you have, let's say a good example, 4 strategies running in parallel and you allocate each strategy at 25%. Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is you have, let's say, 2 of those strategies are starting to go into a money losing situation, but you have one strategy that's starting to get profitable. Is there a way to be able to dynamically allocate on the fly with Alera, the software, to be able to dynamically allocate more capital in the portfolio as certain strategy may perform better versus other strategies? Do you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So is there a way, like a mechanism or set of rules that you can set to say, okay, reduce the risk on these particular strategies, but apply more capital, deploy more capital on this particular strategy running in parallel? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm not sure if Dave, you can go back to open the window again.
Yeah, and Danny, if you want, you can share your screen as well, right? Can I pass control up?
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to set him as the.
Yeah, let's just take a look at the window for.
Okay.
So the allocation, as Dave mentioned, is per strategy, and it's done manually, depending on how much dollar amount, the percentage of the portfolio you want to allocate for a certain strategy. It's not a rule-based allocation.
Right. Okay.
The reason being, this kind of changes in general are done by
really the signal,
depending on the market situation, and depending on how different strategies perform, but they're not dynamic. They don't change every minute or every day.
Right.
So if somebody decides that they want to allocate seasonally more to a certain strategy, they can go in and change the percentage and do save it. And from then on, the position size is going to change. You don't have to reset the software. You don't have to change anything else. Everything is all the signals that have not been processed are going to take on the new size.
Okay.
So if I could just add to that point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, because my understanding of it is that, like, for example, if you're using Python or you're using another language and you're tied into, it sounds like you're going to be tied into a live feed. Is that correct, Brian, under that scenario?
I would assume so. If you, let's say, have interactive brokers connected to the software,
right?
Obviously, you're going to be listening to the market data, and obviously the market data can, whatever, let's say you're just watching something simple like a Forex pair of Euro versus USD. Your strategy may perform a certain level, a certain expectation. We're just talking intraday, and then all of a sudden some news item comes out, and then all of a sudden you start to take a loss. And the question is, if you're running the software in the background, that you have some rule that you could say, okay, if this particular unexpected news event comes, that you can close down that strategy to protect the profits that you already have, and then be able to have some kind of logic or some kind of rule-based mechanism in there to shut down that strategy to protect your profit that you've already that you earned for that day or whatever the period would be, right?
Right. And I think I understand where you're coming from. And my understanding of that, I've given that some thought as well for day trading type strategies.
Sure.
Is that it would basically be handled on the strategy level based on like let's say you're using Python. Python and your data feed would be connected, and it would be monitoring what's happening, and it would send adjustments to Alera to make those adjustments.
So you would have
strategy level.
So how frequent can you? So what I'm understanding, just understand what I'm understanding. If you have the schedulers I'm looking at right now, and then you can set that scheduler to check the file every minute, every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes. You can do it
every second.
Okay. So what you're doing is you'd have to have the set that in the scheduler, and then if there's a signal that comes in and close down this position, and you send that into the file, and then Alera picks that up, and then it will then close down that particular position then.
Yeah, or like if you wanted to scale, you could scale the trade, you could exit the trade,
right?
You could scale it up, scale it down. I mean, Danny, I know you're more the tech guy than I am. Is my understanding correct?
That's perfect. Yeah, that's absolutely.
So
I mean, we haven't shown you yet those type of orders, but you can scale in, scale out. You can close positions. You can double them. You can do a lot of that. Changing the position right away quickly. And if you want to schedule a run every second, you can do that. It's just that the software the signal providing software has to keep up with what's going on the market.
Right. Okay. So because I had a whole series of questions of like average true range, if you have an open position, what happens if because like I do it virtually or dynamically, where the software will do it for you to track the average true range calculation, and then based on that, if the ATR reaches a certain level, close a position, let's say, but that's all going to be tracked within Alera. But what you're saying is Alera is not really doing that. It's just basically like a dummy piece of software that just gets a signal from your, as you say, your signal generator, and that signal generator is the one that's saying, open this position at this amount for this particular size, and then it will send another message 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 2 hours later, close that particular position down. Make sense?
Yes.
Alera can take orders, different type of orders, other than what the market takes, buy and sell orders.
Okay.
You can instruct it to double your position. You can instruct it to allocate 10% of the portfolio. You can instruct it different ways, but you have to tell when you want to buy, what instrument you want to buy. And
understand.
Limit orders and how you want to do it. And that's definitely a decision made in a strategy.
Yep.
What we try to do here is we try to separate the decisions on the signals from the decision on portfolio sizing and how you manage your positions.
Yeah, I understand. So go ahead.
That's why they're not that linked as you would think at the first time, because users of a large portfolio manager have to be able to receive signals from providers that don't have any idea what the portfolio is actually.
Understood. So let's say with interactive brokers, from a coding perspective or an API perspective, let's say you put your order in, and then interactive brokers will then send back it's been a while, the order ID. Does Alera track that order ID and then send that order ID back to the strategy so that the strategy knows, and I'll track that particular order ID, and then be able to, in the strategy itself, be able to identify what needs to be done with that order ID?
Absolutely. It does all that process.
That is, okay, that's great then. That's awesome.
So that way we simplify the strategy build. So the reason Alera works the way it does is that our goal was to simplify the build of the strategies. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to look and see what's of my portfolio, how much of this I have, how much of that I should buy, how much of this. Right. And you can leave that decision for the end user as a system developer, all the decision the only decision you have to make is when you want to buy something, how much of it, and when you want to sell it.
Okay.
And you make those decisions without necessarily knowing exactly what's in the portfolio.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Now, the other thing is reporting. Is that something, again, that their strategy would have to be responsible for? Because let's say, for example, there's a service out there called traderview.com, and that all you have to do is link in your broker account, and it supports many, many brokers. Mm-hmm. And then it's just a separate service that will monitor your account and then be able to do all your monitoring, your all your reporting. I mean, is that something you have on your developer's roadmap to include some kind of basic reporting on how the portfolio is doing with that particular broker? Is that something that you guys may do? Or is
that's exactly something we're looking into, and see what we have to complement what's available on the market on that side. For the time being, you get all the reports every day for the whole account, what happened in the account. And after every run or strategy run independently, you receive an email with all the orders and all the P&L for that day, and all the executions, everything.
Okay. We got, I think, 7 people on board. So if anyone has any comments or questions, please type them. Oh, we just got one person by the name of Ron Duart. Where do we go to download the software? I guess it's going to be the next question that people have.
Okay, so if you go here to AleraTrading.com, there is a link where you can download a fully functioning paper trading copy to experiment with it. So what you do is you click on the register and download button, and you need to sign up to the forum first. I'll show you quickly what that looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so just bear with me a sec. Let me get my browser up. Okay. So for example, if you go to AleraTrading.com and you scroll down to the register and download, what you'll need to do is you'll need to sign up. You'll need to sign up to the forum, and we're encouraging all the new users to sign up to the forum, ask any questions in the forum if they have any questions. The technical documentation is in the forum. And once you're given access to the forum as well, you'll be able to download different versions of the software as well. So that's essentially what you do to get access to it.
So it looks like it's .NET. You need .NET on your system. So I'm going to assume you definitely need Windows and Windows only.
It's Windows and Windows only, and .NET is on every system that on the market.
Right.
There's some servers, older servers, and some clouds that have 4.6.1, and that's why there you have to download 4.6.2.
Okay.
But most of the workstations and more Windows, 8 and 10, everything works without any changes.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions? How many people? So we're up to 6 people. Any other comments or questions? And this is an official product now. This is like I saw 1.06. So this is out of beta, right?
It's an official product that's available today, and you can use for paper trading account. You get a 3-month license automatically when you download it. You can use it for paper trading to integrate the systems. If anyone needs or wants a pay license, they should contact Alera. And it's going to be available in the next couple of weeks in full for live accounts. For the time being, people need 2 weeks to a month to integrate it, make sure it works, be comfortable with everything before going live.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions or comments so far? I mean, I like it. I mean, I think that the design's quite smart, as you said, about the separating the strategy from the portfolio man. Well, I call it portfolio manager itself, or the portfolio piece are totally separate,
Yeah,
which is good.
it's been a godsend for me, Brian, just because I don't want to try and figure out how to hack into APIs
Yeah,
and for brokers and stuff like that. I just want to focus on strategy development, back testing, and then just be able to run with it.
yeah,
And the thing I like about it is, I mean, I have a custom system that's running now, and it's a great system. But it took months to develop. It had to integrate all the different aspects that were needed. And if I want it, like if that system stops working, if my strategy just craps out on me, I'm basically just going to have to brick that system. So with this, you can turn strategies on and off very quickly, and it's just a matter of just writing your signal generation, going back through your, I mean, which can be a lengthy process, but you go back through your development phase and find something that works,
yeah.
and then you can just turn it on, and start testing it right away. And once you're comfortable with it, you can go live with it. And the other good thing is too, is there's going to be people out there that, let's face it, they just don't even really want to develop strategies, but they're immersed, and they like the underlying philosophy. They like quant trading and everything else, but maybe they're going to want to, acquire signals from other providers that they trust.
The big thing that I can see a huge advantage with this is that because you separate the trading logic from the actual ordering component, people like let's say you go full blown with this, it helps protect folks' own strategy. Like you keep the logic separate, so it's not intertwined somehow with let's say your service. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of people will be pretty comfortable with that because
it's not intertwined with the complexities of running different strategies with the broker API as well.
Yeah,
and managing interference between all the different strategies, all the different ticker symbols. Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the main things that sold me on it, and why I was just like to the Alera guys, like, look, guys, I want to beta test this. And I want to be involved in some way to help you promote it.
Yeah,
because this is the direction I'm going in my own trade.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, from a design perspective, I will tell you, crypto, it may not be huge now, but it's going to be major. Like it's already displacing a lot of Forex brokers out there because of the cryptocurrency space, specifically like a Binance or whatnot. But the nice thing is and from a technical perspective, if you support the Python, that's awesome. But if you take a look at the package that I've been pushing for the last number of months called CCXT, which is on GitHub, it's a wrapper to over probably close to 100 cryptocurrency exchanges out there. It's going to cover all of them. So if you intertwine this kind of project with CCXT, being able to have this automatically execute the orders as they come in through, let's say, some kind of flat file, people don't have to worry about the complexities at the specific broker, because this kind of software, if it works with something like CCXT, it just blows open a huge market for a piece of software like this, because if it works with the CCXT and that you just provide the signals at a flat file, some kind of compliance level, and then you let this software take control of that, and then integrate it with the CCXT, and then also have another separate flat file that gives the credentials for the broker, or sorry, for the exchange. Like this would be a huge market for you guys, because
does CCXT tie together all the different brokers?
Yeah, it's a wrapper. And that's the beautiful it's like, imagine you have 100 different Forex brokers out there with 100 different separate APIs, right? So in the crypto space, what they've done with CCXT is they've enabled this project, and it's huge now, and it works with pretty well all the big brokers, and it's open source, and they take care of all the management on the API level for each of those exchanges. even little tiny ones. So all you have to do is with their API and their wrapper, you just send the signals in using the framework of CCXT, and it has the capability to then execute the orders for you through the CCXT project. So, as I said, if you intermingle or integrate this kind of software with CCXT, I mean, it's a huge market, because now what you're saying to new people that come into the space of wanting to move in and being able to do automated trades with cryptocurrency integrated with CCXT, what you're saying is, work with your logic, if it's Python or whatever programming language, and then have it comply with CCXT plus this, and then execute all the orders that the user does not have to worry about, because that's all handled through either CCXT or through this kind of software together. And as you said, the person doesn't have to worry about the API level on the crypto exchange.
Well,
you don't even have to worry about that, because now all you have to do is provide the signal specific to a certain file format. And then from there, your software can kick in and start executing all the orders.
Well, that sounds very cool. We'll definitely pass that on to the Alera guys and see what they think.
Well, not just that, but with the Alera, you can then also build in the logic within your software itself, be able to do all kinds of crazy stuff on the exchange level, and just be able to pass orders through the crypto exchange if you had multiple exchanges hooked up to the software.
Absolutely. So
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that brings in a whole new world of arbitrage among the different exchanges. And there's a whole pile of things you could do.
Absolutely. So the goal was actually for us, and for Alera when it started, to make sure that the strategy developer doesn't need more than 2 lines of code to integrate.
Well, I don't think you even have to, from what you're saying to me, is you don't even have to worry about the software development, because all you're doing is providing flat files. As long as those flat files fit a certain format, you're good to go.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
You got a line written for the sell signals, one for the buy signals, and you're done.
Yeah, but if you also integrate that within a Python package at a data frame level, I don't know if you know Python, but if you're able to integrate that as your own package with a data frame, you're now not just having this software, but be able to tie it into a Python package with a data frame. And then all you got to do internally in memory is call that package in the Python script with the data frame, and just have it pass the data right into that data frame internally within the Python script, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because not only that, but with the Python, with CCXT, it also supports JavaScript and PHP, and that's huge. Just check out that project; it's massive.
So it's CCXT on GitHub.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll do that.
That project will blow your mind, and it will enable you to see a whole set of new world that probably no one else is doing.
Well, maybe we can chat with you a little bit about that offline then too, Brian.
Yeah. I got another question for Sai. Could I get a contact for potential custom developed and enhance the product for my specific application if possible?
Yes. So can you still see my screen, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. So if you have any technical questions or want to discuss anything to do with integration, you can contact myself at ddemark@gmail.com, or you can contact Dan directly, rcs@rita.com.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty powerful software.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's really good. The only thing is, if it's in Python, the only thing I can say is a lot of people like myself have moved off of Windows, and a lot of folks are either in the world of Mac, and if they're in Mac, they're all eventually going to Linux, because with Linux, that's a big market. It's just putting ideas out there, and I haven't really played with the I can't even remember the project where Microsoft supports it now, where you have the .NET framework that you can build and connect it into the Linux world.
The good news, Brian, is that the software can take signals not only from flat files but from web APIs.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Kind of platform developed in Linux or another platform. All you would have to do is just to publish those signals on a web API, and Alera is going to pick them up.
Gotcha. And that's through like a REST or whatnot.
Yep.
Okay. No, this is good. I don't know if anyone else has any questions or comments. Pretty impressive stuff.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And, we really appreciate the opportunity for you to let us come on and, and share it with your community.
Yeah, no problem. I think you may have a bunch of people, and as this video will percolate, and I'll go ahead and promote it, obviously, and get it onto Facebook and wherever else. I mean, it's a really good presentation and makes sense to me. And I think from my perspective, it's covered a lot of things, unless, as I said, anyone else has any comments or something or
Thank you,
questions. Anybody else? I mean, we only have 5 people now. I can tell you the attention span of people online today is crazy. Like maybe 5 seconds, that's all you have.
Well, the good news is they can watch it later on YouTube, right? Which is great.
Yeah, that's the beauty of YouTube versus Facebook. But after tonight, what I've seen with what Facebook's done with the video component, I'll be putting this up on Facebook anyway, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, that sounds great. Appreciate it, Brian.
Anybody else got any questions, comments? I'm not sure. Because remember, we got probably, let's say a 30-second delay. So we can give it another minute. And let's see if people type anything in to the chat. So we can wait it out. No, I really like this. This is really exciting stuff.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that coming from you, because I know you've studied a lot of different technologies.
Yeah.
Studied a lot of different, automated trading related stuff out there. So
yeah,
coming from you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I think, as I said, being able to just change a flat file, that's fantastic, because as you said, you guys said, you don't have to worry about the API level, do any of the coding. Mm-hmm. And if you do it, as I said, with the world of crypto, being able to shield people from that, and all they got to do is just put out and submit a flat file, and then have either CCXT or Alera be able to pick up those orders and just execute the orders from that. That's a major world for you. So
let me ask you a couple of newbie questions. I'll kind of I'll take on your role for a second. So I'm not that familiar with the crypto trading market.
Yep.
But do you have a sense of how many people out there in the world trade crypto currency?
I can put it this way. I've done various surveys, and what I've done is I asked what's their asset class of choice. Number one was options. I think options will always be number one. But what I'm finding number two is crypto. And I've also got some people in Europe, and probably the number one broker out there, there is signs of this broker kind of dying off because, number one, they don't support Python. So when you look at brokers like Oanda or FXCM, they have the ability to grow and stay somewhat competitive because they support Python. So that's how they stay, for now, relevant. But then when you compare these same brokers to the world of crypto, they can't compete. And there's a number of reasons why. Crypto, let's say you go to Binance, is the largest exchange in the world. With Binance, two things. In order for me to get a major swing, like today, XRP, which is Ripple, had a 25% swing over an hour. So you can imagine that's a huge profit opportunity for somebody.
But that represents a lot of risk for the brokers as well, right?
Well, it's the exchange, right? Mm-hmm. So the exchange, that's on them. But the thing is, with the exchange, you don't need leverage to get these kind of returns in the world of Forex. So to get the equivalent kind of return, if you were to focus on Forex as the same kind of return you would get with crypto, you'd have to lever up quite high, but you don't have that worry with crypto. The other thing with crypto is the commission fees are very tiny. It's like 0.1% as a commission fee. And again, the brokers or the Forex brokers can't compete against that. The problem right now with the exchanges for crypto is who's reliable. You know what I mean? Who's reliable as an industry? And a lot of them are probably questionable at best.
Does Interactive Brokers offer any crypto trading?
No, they don't. Binance I've used now for 6 months. And I will tell you, I am more than convinced that they are very secure, much more secure than Interactive Brokers. And they're easy to work with. And because it's tied in with CCXT, I'm able to bang out scripts very quickly for anything I want to do. And that's all in Python. But with the world of CCXT, it changes the game on crypto as an asset class. And then when you throw in the machine learning level of it with the new TensorFlow version 2 coming out, that's all going to be driven by Python. And I think those are the two big worlds opening up over the next year will be crypto and machine learning using Python. And I'm seeing evidence of the Forex brokers dying off because of this, because they're not adapting to what the market wants. And the ones that are getting the benefit are crypto. And the big broker that's getting it, or that's actually two, is BitMEX and Binance are the two big ones right now. And yes, I will admit, Bitcoin's getting bad news, but there's still tons of opportunities out there in crypto because they support, last time I checked, 315 currency pairs. And the thing is, there's always going to be an opportunity out there. I mean, I've got just today 3-4 positions that were giving me 25% return over a span of an hour, and other ones at 10-12%. I mean, it's unheard of.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you have any sense what the typical account size is for a typical crypto trader? Is it similar to like Forex in that sense?
Well, the thing is, I can give you this from a Canadian perspective. There's a broker called Quadriga. They're the largest crypto exchange in Canada. And there was a lawsuit that involved CIBC, and they started revealing like the behind the scenes operation of this exchange. And they're tiny. They only had 40 customers, but apparently they had $23 million that was in custodial service for their clients, but there's only 36. And there was like customers on Reddit that were saying, I put in $100,000, $250,000, like six figures on some of these accounts.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Huge. That's what I'm saying. And this is just for a tiny exchange out of Canada.
Wow.
And I would imagine there's some serious players there.
So if you could categorize, like, I always say like a lot of, like a Forex retail trader or a retail stock trader, or, like a lot of them will start off with, let's say 10,000, or when there was the day trading rules, like 25,000. Yeah. So what is your sense for a typical account in terms of a dollar amount on average?
It's hard to say because I don't know what the stats are. The only ones that I've seen so far is using that Quadriga story. But I can tell you, I think there are some big players out there in the world of crypto, specifically on BitMEX, because that's a derivative exchange. Mm-hmm. So you can do your own market making on that thing. And it's the only exchange that allows the little guy to do market making on an exchange for cryptocurrency. And the thing is, you just look at the volumes of crypto, it's huge, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and more and more mainstream banks are getting in on it, like Goldman Sachs, JPM, all of them are getting into the game of cryptocurrency. But what they're trying to do is to legitimize crypto, where there's these, like Coinbase as an example, is trying to bring out these products and future products that will be accepted by the SEC. And it's just a matter of time when it will and who the first one will be. But once that happens, it will fully legitimize crypto as an asset class.
Well, once you get the banks involved, you'll see things really pick up, right?
Well, it's already happening.
They'll push it ahead.
Yeah,
well, on a personal level, as an interested trader in looking at different things, I'll definitely be doing some more research on this.
Yeah. Crypto's huge. I was very skeptical. I run my Telegram group, and I had a few guys on that, and I'm like, yeah, crypto, who cares? And then they slowly turned me on about, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And then I researched CCXT, and I'm like, oh my Lord, it's like this thing is a game changer in terms of as a package or a framework to be able to talk to up to 100 different exchanges with one wrapper. There's nothing out there that does that. It's like going to your Forex broker, and now you have the equivalent of one wrapper that will talk to 10 big Forex brokers. But that exists in the world of crypto with this project, and that's a huge game changer. You also have very low commission fees, so it's not a problem anymore. You also look at the spread costs versus Forex. It's very tight in the world of crypto, especially with the big ones. And it's like I'm looking at it where it's not a losing game. It's once they get everything settled down in terms of the volatility and work out the proper exchanges that are reliable, then I'll say for sure, once that happens, you're going to see crypto explode as a new asset class to watch.
I would agree with your assessment there about, the volatility needing to come down a bit.
Yeah.
And they're needing, like, people need to be able to trust, to trust the exchange. There was an exchange or a broker a number of years ago, and their name fails me, but they were in the futures market. I think they were MF Global.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they, a lot of people, lost money because of the bets that they were taking, right? With money that was supposed to be,
they were intermingling custodial that was meant for customers and their operations.
Yes.
I mean, but you're always going to get operators like that. But the problem is, how do you get these kind of operators out of the world of crypto? You know what I mean? And that's where the SEC is starting to step in. And the big one right now that's trying to go legit is Coinbase. And just, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Coinbase has a market cap now of $1 billion. And people are like, how's that possible? Like, this no-name exchange and this crypto player just blows up so big out of nowhere. And now they're worth $1 billion market cap wise. And that's what I'm saying, because from what I'm seeing, reading and talking to people, it seems crypto's going to go mainstream. Just whatever set of coins will be mainstream, who the mainstream operators will be. That's just going to get ironed out over the next probably 6 months to a year.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like the wild, wild west right now, right?
Yeah, right. But the thing is, if you have a strategy that can work, you can make mad money with crypto. And you can definitely do it on Binance for sure. Because I'm seeing it almost not every day, but every couple times a week. Like today was another one where it just blew up. That Ripple just went crazy. And that's when Bitcoin's going down and it's below $5,000. And as I said, there's always those opportunities out there. So,
cool. Very cool.
And there's the commission fee is so low. And I used to be the biggest skeptic of all, but I'm like, now this is the early stages of something that's going to blow up big. And I want to have something ready to automate it. And,
so you were a skeptic. Now you're a believer. Hopefully it made you a believer in Alera as well.
Yeah, for sure. I was never a skeptic of Alera. I mean, there's no doubt.
No, I mean, this is the first time you've really been exposed to it. Yeah. So
the thing is,
I certainly appreciate you taking the time to introduce it to your community.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for us, Brian?
No, I'm looking for any other questions from anybody. We're down to 4 people. I think I had a whole slew of questions, but it's already been asked by like how you're separating the submitting the text file or the flat file to Alera. And now I understand how the software works. So that takes away a lot of questions. So.
Okay. And, by all means, Brian, feel free to download the software, try it out, play with it.
I will try that.
If you have any if you have any other questions, you can certainly contact us directly. Or
Okay.
if you want to do a follow-up that's a little bit more technical in nature,
Okay.
we could look at doing that as well.
Well, if anybody's still on the video that's watching this, I'd probably do the same and get directly in touch with you, try out the software, and post all the commentary on your forum.
That sounds great.
Yeah. No, this is good. Really good. I don't know. I don't see any other questions at all. Yeah, I don't see anything at all. Anything new, questions or comments from anybody. So if you want to give it a wrap, it's up to you, or any parting words, it's up to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just encourage people to try it out. I mean, it's free to try. I know a lot of people in your community are, they like to code, they like to try things out.
Yeah.
So, you can try it out risk-free, and just sign up to the forum at aleratrading.com. You can access it. And then by all means, we can, the documentation's there, but if there's any questions, we can absolutely schedule, some kind of a follow-up to go through some more technical matters. And,
Sure.
Danny could probably take you through some very cool capabilities that I'm not even aware of.
Okay.
Because I'm a pretty basic user.
Right.
I've got pretty simple strategies. I like to keep my stuff simple, end of day swing trading type stuff.
There's nothing wrong with that, because I've gone through many, many, many indicators. I'm like you with the technical analysis, and I only use two indicators: rate of change and RSI. That's it.
Yeah,
and they seem to work really well.
I would agree. That's a good approach.
But the thing is, I do have other indicators I use to confirm theories, if like from a forecasting point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I just use the RSI and the ROC for position entries, and then I also would use the ATR as well on the closing end, or the exit as well, and that's as simple as you can get.
I'm a big fan of RSI. If you're interested, Brian, in December, I'm going to be doing a presentation for the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts. You're familiar with them.
Yep.
The Oakville chapter. I'm going to be doing personally a presentation that's going to talk about the historical. It's like a historical comparison of the most common technical indicators. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down using data that's been adjusted for historical constituents,
Right.
as I mentioned earlier. And it's going to look at like 9 or 10 of the most common technical indicators and see how they've performed in the past.
Okay.
Yep. So that's in December. If anyone's interested, you can just go to the csta.org.
Yep.
And look for the Oakville chapter. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but it's in December.
Okay. And what's the days of the week that you guys, is it like Tuesday or?
They meet on the second Wednesday of every month, I believe.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. I can look at it.
Yeah.
But
csta.org.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. So, Danny, is there anything you wanted to add, Danny?
Just to thank Brian for hosting us tonight.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for presenting. I think some people have already gotten some use out of it live, let alone however many other people will end up trying it out.
And do you mind if we just post a quick link in your Facebook page? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, no problem. And just send me an email if you want, and I can follow up and put it in, actually, I'll use the one that you sent me before. Okay. And I'll do all the social media, on YouTube, Facebook, and all the LinkedIn and Twitter stuff. So as well
that sounds great, Brian. Thank you. And I'll I think I'll follow up with you if you've got some time to talk about some of these the CCXT and some of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Yeah, no, the CCXT I think revolutionizes how we trade just generally, but obviously specific to crypto. But the idea to be able to write a wrapper for all these exchanges out there, maintain it, and support 3 programming languages I've never seen anything like that. And to me, that just totally changes everything about crypto because it makes life so much easier and includes the market data, your account info, your order info. It's really well done and well maintained. And I think there's got to be thousands of people using this thing now.
Well, that sounds awesome. I mean, one of the reasons why I always had an issue with trading Forex and things like that. I used to trade futures. And the thing I liked about futures is they actually had everything centralized on one exchange, right? So you wouldn't get that sort of kind of goofing around that goes on when you with Forex, right? And it sounds like Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but cryptos are sort of in that same space where you've got multiple exchanges that, like you said, there is an opportunity for arbitrage.
Yep.
But I kind of like the centralized kind of model because then everybody's looking at the same stuff. You can really determine what real volume is and things of that nature. But, in the absence of that, CCXT sounds like a good alternative.
Well, yeah. I mean, if somebody came to me and which ones would I trust in terms of the exchanges, it's just Binance and maybe BitMEX. But for now, for sure, Binance. All the other ones have had bad news one way or another. And I think over time, people are starting to realize that, that Binance is the one to watch. They're opening up some like 6 new exchanges globally on each continent. And I mean, they're beyond growing. And they seem to be setting a lot of standards on how an exchange should operate, as well as they've got the volumes there. The trust seems to be there compared to other exchanges. And from what I've seen, I really like them, and just the ability to transfer Bitcoin even anonymously. You could do that. It's a really well done exchange. And if anything I've seen, including Interactive Brokers and all the Forex brokers I've seen, I have no affiliation with Binance. They don't even know who I am. But the thing is, from what I've seen, they've done the software architecting the best. I mean, it's impressive.
Well, maybe you'll see. We'll talk to the Alera guys, and maybe you'll see us alongside that one day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brian.
No problem.
If there's no other questions, I guess we could probably wrap it here.
Yeah. Let me just check here. No, I don't see any other anybody else at all.
Okay.
In terms of a question.
Okay, so thanks again, Brian, and Dan. Dan, thanks for joining us on the call as well. Thanks for joining me because I'm not a technical guy like you, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
it. Thanks for doing the presentation and being part of this. This is really good. It's opened my eyes in terms of that. This is definitely looking to be really well architected.
Yes,
really.
I would tend to agree. That's why I'm on board.
Yeah. It's really well done. So, good job. Bravo. I hope you guys get some people out of this and whatever else I can do for you.
Thank you very much, Brian.
No problem.
Okay. Good night, gentlemen.
Thanks again. And you guys have a good day or night. I'm assuming night. All right. So what I can do is I can end the meeting here and I'll just terminate us all and close up the YouTube session as well.
Great. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Thanks again, guys. And you have a good, and thanks to anybody watching out there, and hopefully make some good use out of the software.
Yes. Thank you all for participating. Have a great night.
Thank you. All right, man. Thanks. Have a good one. And I'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Very good.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.